D20 combat. Sooner or later, most encounters come down to which side has the biggest stick. Sometimes subtlety or diplomacy can prevail in the face of adversity, but there is no denying that battle is a major aspect of most campaigns. Sometimes subtlety or diplomacy can prevail in the face of adversity, but there is no denying that battle is a major aspect in most campaigns. As such, the D20 game has a detailed and comprehensive set of rules for adjudicating personal combat with ranged, melee, and unarmed attacks. Everything from how much damage living creatures, undead flesh, and inanimate objects can withstand to how much harder it gets to hit a distant mark. The farther out it goes is covered in these pages. If it involves making one's point with massive blunt objects, rapidly moving metal, or a balled up fist, this chapter covers the action from the first swing to the last gasp. How combat works. Combat is cyclical. Everybody acts in turn in a regular cycle of rounds. Combat follows the discipline. Each combatant starts out flat-footed. Once a combatant acts, he or she is no longer flat-footed. Determine which characters are aware of their opponent at the start of the battle. If some but not all of the combatants are aware of their opponents, a surprise round happens before regular rounds of combat begin. The combatants who are aware of the opponents can act in the surprise round, so they roll for initiative. In initiative order, highest to lowest, combatants who start the battle aware of their opponents each take one action, either a standard action or a move action, during the surprise round. Combatants who were unaware do not get to act in the surprise round. If no one or everyone starts the battle aware, there is no surprise round. Combatants who have not yet rolled initiative do so. All combatants are now ready to begin their first regular round of combat. Combatants act in initiative order, highest to lowest. When everyone has had a turn, the combatant with the highest initiative acts again, and steps 4 and 5 repeat until combat ends. Combat statistics. This section summarizes the rules and attributes that determine success in combat, and then details how to use them in sequential order to resolve any combat situation. Attack roll. An attack roll represents your attempt to strike your opponent on your turn in a round. When you make an attack roll, you roll a d20 and add your attack bonus. Other modifiers may also apply to this roll. If your result equals or beats the target's armor class, you hit and deal damage. Automatic misses and hits. A natural 1, the d20 comes up 1. On an attack roll is always a miss. A natural 20 is always a hit. A natural 20 is also a threat, a possible critical hit. How to calculate an attack bonus. Your attack bonus with a melee weapon is base attack bonus plus strength modifier plus size modifier. With a ranged weapon, your attack bonus is base attack bonus plus dexterity modifier plus size modifier plus range penalty. Table 7-1. Size modifiers. Size and size modifiers. Colossal, -8. Gargantuan, -4. Huge, -2. Large, -1. Medium, +0. Small, +1. Tiny, +2. Diminutive, +4. And fine, +8. Damage. When your attack succeeds, you deal damage. The type of weapon used determines the amount of damage you deal. Effects that modify weapon damage apply to unarmed strikes and the natural physical attack forms of creatures. Damage reduces a target's current hit points. Minimum damage. If penalties reduce the damage result to less than 1, a hit still deals 1 point of damage. Strength bonus. When you hit with a melee or thrown weapon, including a sling, add your strength modifier to that damage result. A strength penalty, but not a bonus, applies on attacks made with a bow that is not a composite bow. Offhand weapon. When you deal damage with a weapon in your offhand, you add only half your strength bonus. Wielding a weapon two-handed. When you deal damage with a weapon that you are wielding two-handed, you add 1.5 times your strength bonus. However, you do not get this higher strength bonus when using a light weapon with two hands. Multiplying damage. Sometimes you multiply damage by some factor, such as on a critical hit. Roll the damage with all modifiers multiple times and total the results. Note, when you multiply damage more than once, each multiplier works off the original unmultiplied damage. Exception: extra damage dice over and above a weapon's normal damage are never multiplied. Ability damage. Certain creatures and magical effects can cause temporary ability damage, a reduction to an ability score. Armor class. Your armor class represents how hard it is for opponents to land a solid damaging blow on you. It is the attack roll result that an opponent needs to achieve to hit you. Your armor class is equal to the following: 10 plus armor bonus plus shield bonus plus dexterity modifier plus size modifier. Note that armor limits your dexterity bonus, so if you are wearing armor, you might not be able to apply your whole dexterity bonus to your AC. Sometimes you cannot use your dexterity bonus if you have one. If you cannot react to a blow, you cannot use your dexterity bonus to AC. If you do not have a dexterity bonus, nothing happens. Other modifiers. Many other factors modify your AC. Enhancement bonuses. Enhancement effects make your armor better. Deflection bonus. Magical deflection effects ward off attacks and improve your AC. Natural armor. Natural armor improves your AC. Dodge bonuses. Some other AC bonuses represent actively avoiding blows. These bonuses are called dodge bonuses. Any situation that denies you your dexterity bonus also denies you dodge bonuses. Wearing armor, however, does not limit these bonuses the way it limits a dexterity bonus to AC. Unlike most sorts of bonuses, dodge bonuses stack with each other. Touch attacks. Some attacks disregard armor, including shields and natural armor. In these cases, the attacker makes a touch attack roll, either ranged or melee. When you are the target of a touch attack, your AC does not include any armor bonus shield bonus, nor natural armor bonus. All other modifiers, such as your size modifier, dexterity modifier, and deflection bonus, if any, apply normally. Hit points. All characters and objects have a certain number of hit points determined by hit dice, character levels, or construction. These represent inherent These represent inherent resistance to injury and, in the case of living beings, the ability to avoid critical damage through exertion and skill. Hit points are an abstract concept and do not always reflect the true physical condition of a creature. Instead, a being's hit point total is a sum measurement of health, fatigue, and combat awareness. When a character's hit point total reaches 0, he or she is disabled. When hit points reach -1, a creature is dying. When the value gets to -10, a character or creature is dead. Encountered enemies are technically killed at 0 hit points, but a games master may optionally allow named villain or important non-player characters to descend as low as -10 if their continued existence in the campaign is desirable, or if player characters wish to show mercy or question prisoners. Speed. Your speed tells you how far you can move in a round and still do something, such as attack or cast a spell. Your speed depends mostly on your race and what armor you are wearing. If you use 2 move actions in a round, sometimes called a double move action, you can move up to double your speed. If you spend the entire round to run all out, you can move up to quadruple your speed, or triple if you are in heavy armor. Dwarves, gnomes, and halflings have a speed of 20 feet, 4 squares, or 15 feet, 3 squares when wearing medium or heavy armor, except for dwarves who move 20 feet in any armor. Humans, elves, half-elves, and half-orcs have a speed of 30 feet, 6 squares, or 20 feet, 4 squares in medium or heavy armor. Saving throws. Generally, when you are subject to an unusual or magical attack, get a saving throw to avoid or reduce the effect. Like an attack roll, a saving throw is a d20 roll plus a bonus based on your class level and an ability score. Your saving throw modifier is base save bonus plus ability modifier. Saving throws. Saving throw types. 3 different kinds of saving throws are fortitude, reflex, and will. Fortitude. These saves measure your ability to stand up to physical punishment or attacks against your vitality and health. Apply a constitution modifier to your fortitude saving throws. Reflex. These saves test your ability to dodge area attacks. Apply your dexterity modifier to your reflex saving throws. Will. These saves reflect your resistance to mental influence as well as many magical effects. Apply your wisdom modifier to your will saving throws. Saving throw difficulty class. The DC for a save is determined by the attack itself. Various effects such as feats, ability scores in the case of special abilities with difficulty classes calculated, on a creature by creature basis, and other enhancements can influence DC dramatically. Subject to an unusual magical attack, you get a saving throw to avoid or reduce the effect. Like an attack roll, a saving throw is a d20 roll plus a bonus, based on your class level and ability score. Base save bonus possibility modifier. Automatic failures and successes. A natural 1, the d20 comes up 1, on a saving throw is always a failure and may cause damage to exposed items. See items surviving after a saving throw. A natural 20 is always a success. This is a notable exception to the basic rule that natural rolls of 1 and 20 on a d20 do not automatically indicate failure or success, respectively. Initiative. Initiative checks. At the start of battle, each combatant makes an initiative check. An initiative check is a dexterity check. Each character applies his or her dexterity modifier to the roll. Characters act in order, counting down from highest result to lowest. In every round that follows, the characters act in the same order unless a character takes an action that results in his or her initiative changing. See special initiative actions. And in the same order. See. If 2 or more combatants have the same initiative check result, the combatants who are tied act in order of total initiative modifier, highest first. If there is still a tie, the tied character should roll again to determine which one of them goes before the other. Rock, paper, scissors. Flat-footed. At the start of battle, before you have had a chance to act, specifically before your first regular turn, in initiative order, you are flat-footed. You cannot use your dexterity bonus to AC, if any, while flat-footed. Barbarians and rogues have the uncanny dodge extraordinary ability, which allows them to avoid losing their dexterity bonus to AC due to being flat-footed. Barbarians and rogues. Uncanny dodge extraordinary. A flat-footed character cannot make attacks of opportunity. In action. Even if you cannot take actions, you retain your initiative score for the duration of the encounter. This may be necessary to determine when an effect occurs on your character in any given round, or when you may overcome some adverse condition. Surprise. When a combat starts, you are not aware of your opponents. If you are not aware of your opponents and they are aware of you, you are surprised. Conversely, careful tactics or blind luck can provide the opportunity for player characters to achieve surprise on unprepared or unsuspecting opponents. Generally, surprise does not occur often, as most people, in the kinds of situations where combat is a likely occurrence, are constantly wary. A games master is the final authority on when surprise occurs for any given encounter, if rolled. Conversely, careful tactics or blind luck can provide the opportunity for player characters to achieve surprise on unprepared or unsuspecting opponents. Generally, surprise does not occur often, as most people in the kinds of situations where combat is likely to occur are constantly wary. The game's masters will find authority on when surprise occurs for any given encounter, if at all. Determining awareness. Sometimes all the combatants on a side are aware of their opponents. Sometimes none are, and sometimes only some of them are. Sometimes a few combatants on each side are aware and the other combatants on each side are unaware. Okay. Determining awareness may call for listen checks, spot checks, or other checks. The surprise round. If some but not all of the combatants are aware of their opponents, a surprise round happens before regular rounds begin. Any combatants aware of the opponents can act in the surprise round, so they roll for initiative. In initiative order, highest to lowest combatants who started the battle, aware of their opponents, each take a standard action during the surprise round. If you can also take free actions during the surprise round. If no one or everyone is surprised, no surprise round occurs. Unaware combatants. Combatants who are unaware at the start of battle do not get to act in the surprise round. Unaware combatants are flat-footed because they have not acted. They have not acted yet, so they lose any dexterity bonus to AC. Attacks of opportunity. Sometimes a combatant in a melee lets her guard down. In this case, combatants near her can take advantage of her lapse in defense to attack her for free. These free attacks are called attacks of opportunity. The idea behind attacks, it says or opportunity, but I should say of. Oh, no. The idea behind attacks of opportunity is fairly straightforward. There's a typo here, it says or. But including them as a combat complication is not. As such, a game master can choose to treat attacks of opportunity as an optional rule. If this is done, the operation of several feats, namely ones like mobility and combat reflexes, can choose to treat attacks of opportunity as an optional rule. If this is done, the operation of several feats, namely ones like mobility and combat reflexes, may need to be changed to give them new abilities or removed completely from the campaign as they will no longer apply. Threaten squares. You threaten all squares into which you can make a melee attack, even when it is not your action. Generally, that means everything and all squares adjacent to your space, including diagonally. An enemy that takes certain actions while in a threatened square provokes an attack of opportunity from you. If you are unarmed, you do not normally threaten any squares, and thus cannot make attacks of opportunity. Reach weapons. Most creatures of medium or smaller size have a reach of only 5 feet. This means they can make melee attacks only against creatures up to 5 feet, 1 square, away. However, small and medium creatures wielding reach weapons threaten more squares than a typical creature. In addition, most creatures larger than medium have a natural reach of 10 feet or more, provoking an attack of opportunity. Two kinds of actions can provoke attacks of opportunity: moving out of a threatened square and performing an action within a threatened square. Moving out of a threatened square usually provokes an attack of opportunity from the threatening opponent. There are 2 common methods of avoiding such an attack: the 5-foot step and the withdraw action. Performing a distracting act. performing a distracting act. Some actions, when performed in a threatened square, provoke attacks of opportunity as you divert your attention from the battle. Table. Actions in combat. Notes many of the actions that provoke attacks of opportunity. Remember that even actions that normally provoke attacks of opportunity may have exceptions to this rule. Making an attack of opportunity. An attack of opportunity is a single melee attack, and you can only make one per round. You do not have to make an attack of opportunity if you do not want to. An experienced character gets additional regular melee attacks by using the full attack action, but at a lower attack bonus. You make your attack of opportunity, however, at your normal attack bonus, even if you have already attacked in the round. Experienced character gets additional regular melee attacks. Full attack action, but at a lower attack bonus. You make your attack of opportunity, however, at your normal attack bonus, even if you have already attacked in the round. An attack of opportunity interrupts the normal flow of actions in the round. If an attack of opportunity is provoked, immediately resolve the attack of opportunity, then continue with the next character's turn or complete the current turn if the attack of opportunity was provoked in the midst of a character's turn. Combat reflexes and additional attacks of opportunity. I can imagine this working in a video game, but probably doesn't make this on paper. Combat reflexes and additional attacks of opportunity. If you have the combat reflexes feat, you can add your dexterity modifier to the number of attacks of opportunity you can make in a round. This feat does not let you make more than one attack for a given opportunity, but if the same opponent provokes 2 attacks of opportunity from you, you could make 2 separate attacks of opportunity, since each one represents a different opportunity. Moving out of more than one square threatened by the same opponent in the same round does not count as more than one opportunity for that opponent. All these attacks are at your full normal attack bonus. Actions in combat. The anatomy of a combat round. Each round represents 6 seconds in the game world. A round presents an opportunity for each character involved in a combat situation to take an action. Each round represents 6 seconds. A round presents an opportunity for each character involved in a combat situation to take an action. Each round's activity begins with the character with the highest initiative result and then proceeds in order from there. Each round of a combat uses the same initiative order. When a character's turn comes up in the initiative sequence, that character performs his entire round's worth of actions. 6 seconds. What can you do in 6 seconds? For exceptions, see attacks of opportunity and special initiative actions. For almost all purposes, there is no relevance to the end of a round or the beginning of a round. A round can be a segment of game time starting with the first character to act and ending with the last, but it usually means a span of time from one round to the same initiative count in the next round. Effects that last a certain number of rounds end just before the same initiative count that they began with. Action types. An action type essentially tells you how long the action takes to perform within the framework of the 6-second combat round, and how movement is treated. There are 4 types of actions: standard actions, move actions, full round actions, and free actions. In a normal round, you can perform a standard action and a move action, or you can perform a full round action. You can also perform one or more free actions. You can always take a move action in place of a standard action. You can always, let's see, there are 4 types of actions: standard actions, move actions, full round actions, and free actions. In a normal round, you can perform a standard action and a move action, or you can perform a full round action. You can also perform one or more free actions. You can always take a move action in place of a standard action. In some situations, such as in a surprise round, you may be limited to taking only a single move action or standard action. Standard action. A standard action allows you to do something, most commonly make an attack or cast a spell. See Table 72 for other standard actions. Move action. A move action allows you to move your speed or perform an action that takes a similar amount of time. See Table 72. You can take a move action in place of a standard action. If you move no actual distance in a round, commonly because you have swapped your move for one or more equivalent actions, you can take one 5-foot step either before, during, or after the action. Full round action. A full round action consumes all your effort during a round. A full round action consumes all your effort during a round. The only movement you can take during a full round action is a 5-foot step before, during, or after the action. You can also perform free actions. See below. Some full round actions do not allow you to take a 5-foot step. A full round action consumes all your effort. The only movement you can take during a full round action is a 5-foot step before, during, or after the action. You can also perform free actions. Some full round actions do not allow you to take a 5-foot step. Some full round actions can be taken as standard actions, but only in situations when you are limited to performing only a standard action during your round. Some full round actions can be taken as standard. The descriptions of specific actions below detail which actions allow this option. Free action. Free actions consume a very small amount of time and effort. You can perform one or more free actions while taking another action normally. However, there are reasonable limits on what you can really do for free. Not an action. Some activities are so minor that they are not even considered free actions. They literally do not take any time at all to do and are considered an inherent part of doing something else. I don't know, breathing. restricted activity. In some situations, you may be unable to take a full round's worth of actions. In such cases, you are restricted to taking only a single standard action or a single move action plus free actions as normal. You cannot take a full round action, though you can start or complete a full round action by using a standard action. See below. Standard actions. These are basic things characters and creatures can do during a combat round. Basic attacks are covered under this type of action, as are the activation of normal items, devices, and magical treasures. Most actions taken by combatants are standard actions, though timing or outside influences might change this status. Attack. Making an attack is a standard action. There are three kinds of basic attack: melee, unarmed, and ranged. Melee covers the use of close combat weapons. Unarmed attacks are any offensive use of natural parts of a creature's body. This covers everything from a half-orc's fist to a lion's claws. Ranged attacks run the gamut, from raid-type spells to more conventional weapons such as bows and slings. Melee attacks. With a normal melee weapon, you can strike any opponent within 5 feet. Opponents within 5 feet are considered adjacent to you. Some melee weapons have reach as indicated in their descriptions. With a typical reach weapon, you can strike opponents 10 feet away, but you cannot strike adjacent foes, those within 5 feet, with a reach weapon. I could totally hit you with a spear if you're right next to me. Just choke up on it. Unarmed attacks. Striking for damage with punches, kicks, and headbutts is much like attacking with a melee weapon, except for the following complications. Attacks of opportunity. Attacking unarmed provokes an attack of opportunity from the character you attack, provided she is armed. The attack of opportunity comes before your attack. An unarmed attack does not provoke attacks of opportunity from other foes, nor does it provoke an attack of opportunity from an unarmed foe. An unarmed character cannot take attacks of opportunity. But see armed, unarmed attacks below. Armed, unarmed attacks. Sometimes a character or creature's unarmed attack counts as an armed attack. A monk, a character with the improved unarmed strike feat, a spellcaster delivering a touch attack spell, and a creature with natural physical weapons all count as being armed. Note that being armed counts for both offense and defense. The character can make attacks of opportunity. Unarmed strike damage. An unarmed strike from a medium character deals 1d3 points of damage, plus your strength modifier is normal. A small character's unarmed strike deals 1d2 points of damage, while a large character's unarmed strike deals 1d4 points of damage. All damage from unarmed strikes is non-lethal damage. Unarmed strikes count as light weapons for purposes of two-weapon attack penalties, and so on. Dealing lethal damage. You can specify that your unarmed strike will deal lethal damage before you make your attack roll, but you take a -4 penalty on your attack roll. If you have the improved unarmed strike feat, you can deal lethal damage with an unarmed strike without taking a penalty on the attack roll. Ranged attacks. With a ranged weapon, you can shoot or throw at any target that is within the weapon's maximum range and in line of sight. The maximum range for a thrown weapon is 5 range increments. For projectile weapons, it is 10 range increments. Some ranged weapons have shorter maximum ranges as specified in their description. Attack rolls. An attack roll represents your attempts to strike your opponent. You attack. Your attack roll is 1d20 plus your attack bonus with the weapon you are using. If the result is at least as high as the target's AC, you hit and deal damage. What the hell is it? 1d2 damage. Is that a coin? Is your tail split? Your attack roll is 1d20 plus your attack bonus with the weapon you are using. If the result is at least as high as the target's AC, you hit and deal damage. Okay, so let's go back real quick and go through these tables. Table 7.2. Actions in combat. Attack of opportunity. Standard action. Attack melee. Attack ranged. Attack unarmed. Activate a magic item other than a potion or oil. No, yes, yes, no, maybe, no, yes, no, 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 yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Attack melee, no. Attack ranged, yes. Attack unarmed, yes. Activate a magic item, no. Aid another, maybe. Bull rush, no. Cast a spell. One standard action. Casting time, yes. So you start casting a spell, they get an attack of opportunity on you. So I have to go to the cast target. If they have a spear, then you might have to jump aside. It's like, yeah, the rules say I can't hit you with a spear if you're right next to me, but believe you me, I can hit you with a spear. Choke up on it. I can hit you with a spear no matter how close you are. I can hit you with any part of the spear too. trip you with the shaft. Need another bull rush. Cast a spell. Concentrate to maintain an active spell. No. Dismiss a spell. No. Draw a hidden weapon. See sleight of hand skill. No. Drink a potion or apply an oil. Yes. Escape a grapple. No. Faint. No. Light a torch with a tinder twig. Yes. Lower spell resistance. No. Make a dying friend stable. See the healed skill. Yes. Overrun. No. Read a scroll. Yes. Ready. Triggers a standard action. No. Sunder a weapon. Attack. Yes. Sunder an object. Attack. Maybe. Total defense. No. Turn or rebuke undead. No. Use extraordinary ability. No. Use skill that takes one action. Usually. Use spell-like ability. Yes. Use supernatural ability. No. Move action. Attack of opportunity. Move. Yes. Control a frightened mount. Yes. Direct or redirect an active spell. No. Draw a weapon. No. There's 4 by it. Load a hand crossbow or light crossbow. Yes. Open or close a door. No. Mount a horse or dismount. No. Move a heavy object. Yes. Pick up an item. Yes. Sheathe a weapon. Yes. Stand up from prone. Yes. Ready or loose a shield. No. Retrieve a stored item. Yes. Full round action. Attack of opportunity. No, no, yes, yes. No, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Usually yes, no. Right. Full round action. Full attack. Charge. Deliver. Coup de grace. Escape from a net. Yes. Extinguish flames. No. Light a torch. Yes. Load a heavy or repeating crossbow. Yes. Lock or unlock weapon in locked gauntlet. Yes. Prepare to throw splash weapon. Yes. Run! Yes. Use skill that takes one round, usually. Use touch spell on up to 6 friends. Yes. Withdraw. No. Yes. Use touch spell on up to 6 friends. And withdraw. There's 5. Free action. Cast a quicken spell. No. Alright. Cease concentration on a spell. Drop an item. Drop to the floor. Prepare spell components to cast the spell. Speak. So, no action, attack of opportunity, no delay, and 5-foot step. Action type varies. Disarm, yes. Grapple, yes. Trip an opponent, no. Use feet, varies. Regardless of the Alright, so here's some numbered asterisks here. Regardless of the action, if you move out of a threatened square, you usually provoke an attack of opportunity. This column indicates whether the action itself, not moving, provokes an attack of opportunity. If you aid someone performing an action that would normally provoke an attack of opportunity, then the act of aiding another provokes an attack of opportunity as well. If the object being held, carried, or worn by a creature, yes. If not, no. If the object is being held, carried, or worn by a creature. If you have a base attack bonus of +1 or higher, you can combine one of these actions with a regular move. If you have a base attack bonus of +1 or higher, you can combine one of these actions with a regular move. So if you have a base attack bonus, a +1 or higher, you can combine one of these actions with a regular move. If you have the two fighting feat, you can draw handed two light or one-handed weapons in the time it would normally take you to draw one. It says two light or one-handed. I think that might be a typo on. May be taken as a standard action if you are limited to taking only a single action in a round, unless the component is an extremely large or awkward item. These attack forms substitute for a melee attack, not an action. As melee attacks, they can be used once in an attack or charge action, one or more times in a full attack action, or even as an attack of opportunity. That's for trip an opponent. Now in disarm and grapple. Use feat. The description of a feat defines its effect. Okay, so anyway. Ranged attacks. With a ranged weapon, you can shoot or throw at any target that is within the weapon's maximum range and in line of sight. The maximum range for a throwing weapon is 5 range increments. Projectile weapons, it is 10 range increments. Some ranged weapons have shorter maximum ranges as specified in their descriptions. Attack rolls. An attack roll represents your attempts to strike your opponent. Your attack roll is 1d20 plus your attack bonus with the weapon you are using. If the result is at least as high as the target's AC, you hit and deal damage. Automatic misses and hits. A natural 1, the d20 comes up 1. On the attack roll is always a miss. A natural 20, the d20 comes up 20, is always a hit. A natural 20 is also a threat, a possible critical hit. This is another notable exception to the natural 1 and 20 rules. Damage rolls. If the attack roll result equals or exceeds a target's AC, the attack hits and you deal damage. Roll the appropriate damage for your weapon. Damage is deducted from the target's current hit points. Multiple attacks. A character who can make more than one attack per round must use the full attack action, see full round actions below, in order to get more than one attack. Shooting or throwing into a melee. If you shoot or throw a ranged weapon at a target engaged in melee with a friendly character, you take a -4 penalty on your attack roll. Two characters are engaged in melee if they are enemies of each other and either threatens the other. An unconscious or otherwise immobilized character is not considered engaged unless he is actually being attacked. So what if the orc knocks out your ally, your party member, party mate, and he's immobilized? You can then shoot the orc. You have to take a -4 penalty? I don't know. If your target, or the part of your target you are aiming at, if it's a big target, is at least 10 feet away from the nearest friendly character, you can avoid the -4 penalty even if the creature you are aiming at is engaged in melee with a friendly character. Precise shot. If you have the precise shot feat, you do not take this penalty. What is that? Fighting defensively as a standard action. You can choose to fight defensively when attacking. If you do so, you take a -4 penalty on all attacks in a round to gain a +2 dodge bonus to AC for the same round. Critical hits. When you make an attack roll and get a natural 20, with d20 plus 20, you hit regardless of your target's armor class, and you have scored a threat. The hit might be a critical hit or crit. To find out if it is a crit, you immediately make a critical roll, another attack roll with all the same modifiers as the attack roll you just made. If the critical roll also results in a hit against the target's AC, the original hit is a critical hit. The critical roll just needs to give you The critical roll just needs to hit to give you a critical hit. It does not need to come up to 20 again. If the critical roll is a miss, I guess you could just like flip a coin at that point. If the critical roll is a miss, then your hit is just a regular hit. A critical hit means that you roll your damage more than once with all your usual bonuses and add the rolls together. Unless otherwise specified, the threat range for a critical hit on an attack roll is 20 and the multiplier is times 2. Exception. Extra damage over and above a weapon's normal damage is not multiplied when you score a critical hit. This includes additional dice from magical effects or class features such as sneak attack. What do you do? A whole lot of math. Increased threat range. Sometimes your threat range. Did you stop that? Oh, no. Yeah. critical roll also results in a hit against the target's AC. The original hit is a critical hit. The critical roll just needs to hit to give you a critical hit. It does not need to come up to 20 again. If the critical roll is a miss, then your hit is just a regular hit. A critical hit means that you roll your damage more than once and oh, you roll your damage more than once with all your usual bonuses and add the rolls together. Unless otherwise specified, the threat range for a critical hit on an attack roll is 20 and the multiplier is times 2. Exception: extra damage over and above a weapon's normal damage is not multiplied. When you score a critical hit, this includes additional dice for magical effects or class features such as sneak attack. Increased threat range. Sometimes your threat range is greater than 20, that is, you can score a threat on a lower number. In such cases, a roll of lower than 20 is not an automatic hit. Any attack roll does not result in a hit is not a threat. Increased critical multiplier. Some weapons deal better than double damage on a critical hit. Spells and critical hits. A spell that requires an attack roll can score a critical hit. A spell that requires no attack roll cannot score a critical hit. Cast a spell. Most spells require one standard action to cast. You can cast such a spell either before or after you take a move action. Note: you retain your dexterity bonus to AC while casting. Spell components. To cast a spell with a verbal component, your character must speak in a firm voice. If you are gagged or in the area of a silent spell, you cannot cast a spell with a verbal component. A spellcaster who has been deafened has a 20% chance to spoil any spell he tries to cast if that spell has a verbal component. To cast a spell with a somatic component, you must gesture freely with at least one hand. You cannot cast a spell of this type while bound, grappling, or with both your hands full or occupied. To cast a spell with a material focus or divine focus component. Cast a spell with a material focus or divine focus component. Material focus or divine focus component. You have to have the proper materials. So to cast the spell, you have to have the proper materials. Material focus or divine focus components. You have to have the proper materials as described by the spell. Unless these materials are elaborate, preparing these materials is a free action. For material components and focuses whose costs are not listed, you can assume that you have them if you have your spell component pouch. Some spells have an experience point component and entail an experience point cost to you. No spell can restore the lost XP. You cannot spend so much XP that you lose a level, so you cannot cast a spell unless you have enough XP to spare. However, you may, on gaining enough XP to achieve a new level, immediately spend the XP on casting the spell, rather than keeping it to advance a level. The XP are expended when you cast the spell, whether or not the casting succeeds. Concentration. You must concentrate to cast the spell. If you cannot concentrate, you cannot cast a spell. If you start casting a spell but something interferes with your concentration, you must make a concentration check or lose the spell. The check's DC depends on what is threatening your concentration. See the concentration skill. If you fail, the spell fizzles with no effect. If you prepare spells, it is lost from preparation. If you cast at will, it counts against your daily limit of spells even though you did not cast it successfully. Would magic be difficult? Concentrating to maintain a spell. Some spells require continued concentration to keep them going. Concentrating to maintain a spell is a standard action that does not provoke an attack of opportunity. Anything that could break your concentration when casting a spell can keep you from concentrating to maintain a spell. If your concentration breaks, the spell ends. Casting time. Most spells have a casting time of one standard action. A spell cast in this manner immediately takes effect. Attacks of opportunity. Generally, if you cast a spell, you provoke attacks of opportunity from threatening enemies. If you take damage from an attack of opportunity, you must make a concentration check. DC 10 plus points of damage taken, plus spell level. Write all these maths down on a card. Could you please stop that? Okay. Anyway, DC 10 plus points of damage taken plus spell level or lose the spell. Spells that require only a free action to cast do not provoke attacks of opportunity. Casting on the defensive. Casting a spell while on the defensive does not provoke an attack of opportunity. It does, however, require a concentration check. DC 15 plus spell level to pull off. Defensive does not provoke attack. Failure means that you lose the spell. Touch spells in combat. Many spells have a range of touch. To use these spells, you cast the spell and then touch the subject, either in the same round or any time later. In the same round that you cast the spell, you may as well touch or attempt to touch the target. You may take your move before casting the spell, after touching the target, or between casting the spell and touching the target. You can automatically touch one friend or use the spell on yourself, but to touch an opponent, you must succeed on an attack. Touch attacks. Touching an opponent with a touch spell is considered to be an armed attack and therefore does not provoke attacks of opportunity. However, the act of casting a spell does provoke an attack of opportunity. Touch attacks come in two types: melee touch attacks and ranged touch attacks. You can score critical hits with either type of attack. Your opponent's AC against a touch attack does not include any armor bonus, shield bonus, or natural armor bonus. His size modifier, dexterity modifier, and deflection bonus all apply normally. Holding the charge. If you do not discharge the spell in the round when you cast the spell, you can hold the discharge of the spell. Hold the charge indefinitely. You can continue to make touch attacks round after round. You can touch one friend as a standard action, or up to 6 friends as a full round action. If you touch anything or anyone while holding a charge, even unintentionally, the spell discharges. If you cast another spell, the touch spell dissipates. Alternatively, you can make a normal unarmed attack or an attack with a natural weapon while holding a charge. In this case, you are not considered armed and you provoke attacks of opportunity as normal for the attack. If your unarmed attack or natural weapon attack does not provoke attacks of opportunity, neither does this attack. So unarmed or natural. What do you mean by natural weapons? Did I read that word? If the attack hits, you deal normal damage for your unarmed attack or natural weapon, and the spell discharges. If the attack misses, you are still holding the charge. If the attack hits, you deal normal damage for your unarmed attack or natural weapon, and the spell discharges. Dismiss a spell. Dismissing an active spell is a standard action that does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Activate magic item. Many magic items do not need to be activated. However, certain magic items need to be activated, especially potions, scrolls, wands, rods, and staffs. Activating a magic item is a standard action, unless the item description indicates otherwise. Spell completion items. Activating a spell completion item is the equivalent of casting a spell. It requires concentration and provokes attacks of opportunity. You lose the spell if your concentration is broken, and you can attempt to activate the item while on the defensive, as with casting a spell. Spell trigger, command word, or use activated items. Activating any of these kinds of items does not require concentration and does not provoke attacks of opportunity. When you think about Scooby Doo, they have all of these trap doors and hidden doors behind furniture, activating things. Dismissing a spell, activate magic item. Okay, I read that. Activating magic item, standard action. Description, page. Spell completion item. Activating a spell completion item is the equivalent of casting a spell. It requires concentration and provokes attacks of opportunity. You will lose the spell if your concentration is broken, and you can attempt to activate the item while on the defensive as you're casting a spell. Spell trigger. Command word or use activated items. Use activated items. Use and use. I swear, English is weird. Use. Use. And use. You have to rely on context to know if it's the Z sound or the S sound. And I swear, why don't we just spell things how they sound? Why don't we spell things how they sound? English and French are weird. Eat your chocolate, please. Use activated items. Activating any of these kinds of items does not require concentration and does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Use special abilities. See, there's the USE, but use. We just spell things like they sound. Using a special ability is usually, 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 should be a letter for that sound. Usually a standard action. And then TI, action. Action. That's why when I write invented letters for those sounds. Usually a standard action, but whether it is a standard action, a full round action, or not an action at all is defined by the ability. Spell-like abilities. Using a spell-like ability works like casting a spell in that it requires concentration and provokes attacks of opportunity. Spell-like abilities can be disrupted. If your concentration is broken, the attempt to use the ability fails, but the attempt counts as if you had used the ability. The casting time of a spell-like ability is one standard action unless the ability description notes otherwise. Using a spell-like ability on the defensive. You may attempt to use a spell-like ability on the defensive, just as with casting a spell. If the concentration check with DC 15 plus spell level fails, you cannot use the ability, but the attempt counts as if you had used the ability. Supernatural abilities. Using a supernatural ability is usually a standard action, unless defined otherwise by the ability's description. Its use. Supernatural abilities. Using a supernatural ability is usually a standard action, unless defined otherwise by the ability description. Its use cannot be disrupted, does not require concentration, and does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Supernatural abilities. Extraordinary abilities. Using an extraordinary ability is usually not an action, because most extraordinary abilities automatically happen in a reactive fashion. Those extraordinary abilities that are actions are usually standard actions that cannot be disrupted, do not require concentration, and do not provoke attacks of opportunity. Extraordinary abilities. Using an extraordinary ability is usually an action. They automatically happen in a reactive fashion. Total defense. You can defend yourself as a standard action. You get a +4 dodge bonus to your AC for 1 round. Your AC improves at the start of this action. If you cannot combine total defense with fighting defensively, or with the benefit of the combat expertise feat, since both of those require you to declare an attack or full attack. You cannot make attacks of opportunity while using total defense. You can defend yourself with a standard action. Start and lets you. What's that? That's awesome. Yeah. The start full round action standard action lets you start undertaking a full round action, which you can complete in the following round by using another standard action. You cannot use this action to start or complete a full attack, charge, run, or withdraw. Use. Start full round action standard action once you start undertaking a full round action, which you can complete in the following round by using another standard action. You cannot use this action to start or complete a full attack, charge, run, or withdraw. Move actions. With the exception of specific movement-related skills, most move actions do not require a check. As the title of this type of action suggests, all move actions center around locomotion or body movements, though not all of them involve a character physically moving from its current location. Don't hit the fan. Don't touch the fan. Watch out for the fan. Oh. So, move. The simplest move action is moving your speed. If you take this kind of move action during your turn, you cannot also take a 5-foot step. Many non-standard modes of movement are covered under this category, including climbing up to 1/4 of your speed and swimming up to 1/4 of your speed. No, I can swim faster than I can walk. I think I just need to give my character that feat. I'll go shapeshift into a fish. I have a deer shapeshift into final shape. Accelerated climbing. You can climb 1/2 your speed as a move action by accepting a -5 penalty to your climb check. Oh. Crawling. You can crawl 5 feet as a move action. Crawling incurs attacks of opportunity from attackers who threaten you at any point of your crawl. Draw or sheath a weapon. Drawing a weapon so that you can use it in combat or putting it away so that you have a free hand requires a move action. This action also applies to weapon-like objects carried in easy reach, such as wands. If your weapon or a weapon-like object is stored in a pack or otherwise out of easy reach, treat this action as retrieving a stored item. If you have a base attack bonus of +1 or higher, you may draw a weapon as a free action combined with a regular move. If you have the 2-weapon fighting feat, You can draw 2 light or one-handed weapons in the time it would normally take you to draw 1. Drawing ammunition for use with a ranged weapon such as arrows, bolts, slings, bullets, or shuriken is a free action. Ready or loose a shield. Strapping a shield to your arm to gain its shield bonus to your AC, or unstrapping and dropping a shield so that you can use your shield hand for another purpose requires a move action. If you have a base attack bonus of +1 or higher, you can ready or loose a shield as a free action combined with a regular move. Dropping a carried but not worn shield is a free action. Manipulate an item. In most cases, moving or manipulating an item is a move action. This includes retrieving or putting away a stored item, picking up an item, moving a heavy object, and opening a door. Examples of this kind of action, along with whether they incur an attack of opportunity, are given in table Actions in Combat. I'd like to model a little hidden staircase behind a bookshelf. That'd be neat. Magically opening the bookcase. Direct or redirect a spell. Some spells allow you to redirect the effect to new targets or areas after you cast the spell. Redirecting a spell requires a move action and does not provoke attacks of opportunity, nor require concentration. After you cast it, requires a move action, does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Redirect the effect to new targets or areas. Okay. Stand up. Standing up from a prone position requires a move action and provokes attacks of opportunity. Dismount a steed. Mounting or dismounting from a steed requires a move action. Fast mount or dismount. You can mount or dismount as a free action with the DC-20 ride check. Your armor check penalty, if any, applies to this check. If you fail the check, mounting or dismounting is a move action instead. It's instead of a free action. So free actions take almost no time. So jumping down just takes a second. But if your armor check penalty applies and you fail, mounting or dismounting is a move action. You cannot attempt a fast mount or dismount unless you can perform the mount or dismount as a move action in the current round. Huh? Fast mount, move, free action, DC-20 ride check. Full round actions. A full round action requires an entire round to complete. Thus, it cannot be coupled with a standard nor a move action, though if it does not involve moving any distance, you can take a 5-foot step. I'm only like 5'2". How the hell do you take a 5-foot step? Full attack. If you get more than one attack per round because your base attack bonus is high enough, because you fight with 2 weapons or a double weapon, or for some special reason you must use a full round action to get your additional attacks. If you get more than one attack per round, because your base attack bonus is high enough, because you fight with 2 weapons, or double weapon, for some special reason you must use a full round action to get your additional attacks. You do not need to specify the targets of your attacks ahead of time. You can see how the earlier attacks turn out before assigning the later ones. The only movement you can take during a full attack is a 5-foot step. You may take the step before, after, or between your attacks. If you get multiple attacks because your base attack bonus is high enough, I imagine they were envisioning like attacking a whole bunch of kobolds at once. If you get multiple attacks because your base attack bonus is high enough, you must make the attacks in order from highest bonus to lowest. If you are using 2 weapons, you can strike with either weapon first. If you are using a double weapon, you can strike with either part of the weapon first. deciding between an attack or a full attack. After your first attack, you can decide to take a move action instead of making your remaining attacks, depending on how the first attack turns out. If you have already taken a 5-foot step, you cannot use action to move any distance, but you could still use a different kind of move action. I'm jumping up and down. Fighting defensively is a full round action. You can choose to fight defensively when taking a full attack action. If you do so, you gain a -4 penalty on all attacks in a round to gain a +2 dodge bonus to AC for the same round. You can choose to fight defensively when taking a full attack action. If you do so, you take a -4 penalty on all attacks in a round to gain a +2 dodge bonus to AC for the same round. Cleave. The extra attack granted by the cleave feat or great cleave feat can be taken whenever they apply. This is an exception to the normal limit to the number of attacks you can take when not using a full attack action. Cast a spell. A spell that takes 1 round to cast is a full round action. It comes into effect just before the beginning of your turn. It takes 1 round to cast. It's a full round action. It comes into effect just before the beginning of your turn in the round after you begin casting the spell. It comes into effect just before the beginning of your turn. You then act normally after the spell is completed. A spell that takes 1 minute to cast comes into effect just before your turn 1 minute later. And for each of those 10 rounds, you are casting a spell as a full round action. These actions must be consecutive and uninterrupted, or the spell automatically fails. So if a spell takes a minute to cast, you have to take 10 rounds of concentration to cast it. When you begin a spell that takes 1 round or longer to cast, you must continue the invocations, gestures, and concentration from 1 round to just before your turn in the next round, at least. If you lose concentration after starting the spell and before it is complete, you lose the spell. You only provoke attacks of opportunity when you begin casting a spell, even though you might continue casting for at least 1 full round. While casting a spell, you do not threaten any squares around you. This action is otherwise identical to the cast a spell action described under standard actions. Damage. Very good. Shoot a weapon. Casting a meta magic spell. Sorcerers and bards must take more time to cast a meta magic spell, one enhanced by a meta magic feat, than a regular spell. If a spell's normal casting time is 1 standard action, casting a meta magic version of the spell is a full round action for a sorcerer or bard. Version of the spell. Note that this isn't the same as a spell with a 1 round casting time. The spell takes effect in the same round that you begin casting, and you aren't required to continue the invocations, gestures, and concentration until your next turn. For spells with a longer casting time, it takes an extra full round action to cast a meta magic spell. Clerics must take more time to spontaneously cast a meta magic version of a cure or inflict spell. Spontaneously casting a meta magic version of a spell with a casting time of 1 standard action is a full round action, and spells with longer casting times take an extra full round action to cast. use, use, use special ability, use special ability. Using a special ability is usually a standard action, but some may be full round actions as defined by the ability. Withdraw. Withdrawing from melee combat is a full round action. When you withdraw, you can move up to double your speed. The square you start out in is not considered threatened by any opponent you can see and therefore visible. Enemies do not get attacks of opportunity against you when you move from that square. Invisible enemies still get attacks of opportunity against you, and you cannot withdraw from combat if you are blinded. You cannot take a 5-foot step during the same round in which you withdraw. If, during the process of withdrawing, you move out of a threatened square other than the one you started in, enemies get attacks of opportunity as normal. You may not withdraw using a form of movement for which you do not have a listed speed. Note that despite the name of this action, you do not actually have to leave combat entirely. Restricted withdrawal. If you are limited to taking only a standard action, each round you can withdraw as a standard action. In this case, you may move up to your speed rather than up to double your speed. Run. You can run as a full round action. If you do, you do not also get a 5-foot step. When you run, you can move up to 4 times your speed in a straight line, or 3 times your speed if you are in heavy armor. You lose any dexterity bonus to AC unless you have the run feat. A run represents a speed of about 12 miles per hour for an unencumbered human. You can run for a number of rounds equal to your Constitution score, but after that you must make a DC 10 Constitution check to continue running. Constitution check. You must check again each round in which you continue to run, and the DC of this check increases by 1 for each check you have made. When you fail this check, you must stop running. A character who has run to his limit must rest for 1 minute, 10 rounds, before running again. During a rest period, a character can move no faster than a normal move action. 10 rounds. 1 minute is 10 rounds. During a rest period, a character can move no faster than a normal move action. You cannot run across difficult terrain, or if you cannot see where you are going. Move 5 feet through difficult terrain. In some situations, your movement may be so hampered that you do not. Alright, 2 hours. Damage, use feet, injury, magical healing, non-lethal damage, measuring distance. Okay. That's all I have time for. Oh, show off my stars. Another one is missing.